Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team. I'm Yetta Dekker.
And I'm Candace St. Louis Dekker.
She should really put Dekker before St. Louis, I think, because she was a Dekker before she was a St. Louis. Regardless, we accept St. Louis.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And so we're chatting about kids and making a move, which is kind of ironic as I'm thinking about the topic a little bit, because Candace was the kid making a move with us.
Yeah.
And now she's had to, a couple of times, gotten the opportunity to make a move with her own kids, anywhere from 1 kid up to 5 kids, when she was making a move. And then we also have many clients that have navigated that. And it's a little different than just making a move when it's a couple.
Yeah.
Right?
Or a single, yeah.
Or a single, yeah. An individual, a couple, or even sometimes we have helped mothers and daughters buy homes together, or fathers and sons. And then the all most challenging is multi-generational moves, which we won't talk about too much in the show. I'm thinking we'll take on the whole idea of making a move with kids, and what can you do to make the move enjoyable? What can you do to make the move as easy as possible? Because even as adults, we know that making a move is really in the top 5 stressors in life.
Yeah.
Like it sits up there with divorce and marriage and death.
Finances.
And financial challenges. Making a move is right up there. And so for kids, think about their world and how it's probably like at the top of the list, because they don't deal with a lot of those other things, or we're hoping they don't deal with a lot of those other things. And so a move with children can actually create a lot of anxiety for them.
Yeah, a lot of anxiety, some worry, some doubt, unstructure compared to what they were used to. It may switch their schools, not just their house or the area. So we have some ideas of how to make that smoother.
Yeah, how to make it as comfortable and create a resiliency in your kids so that it isn't traumatic for them. Because actually I hear stories every so often when I'm chatting with people. Because of what I do for a living, I get to chat with a lot of people about making moves. And every so often stories about moves when they were children come up. And it's left an indelible, difficult mark on who they be. And not because anybody did anything wrong or didn't navigate it well. And we're still hoping that by giving you some tips and some insights, that it will make it easier than maybe the move you're going to do right now or the move you're going to do in the future. Remember this show and go back. It'll be in the archives and you can listen to it again when it's pertinent to what's going on in your world. And maybe you're a grandparent and you can offer this show to your kids who are navigating a move with their kids. Or maybe you're an aunt or an uncle and you can offer it to a niece or nephew or great aunt and uncle and offer it to them to help them navigate this season of making moves with kids. So even if you're past this season in your life, recognize that you could still be of huge value. The information could be passed from you to them, or just get them to go to chri.ca or dekkerteam.com and watch the show about kids and making a move.
Yeah, and also supporting them. The listeners can support someone that's going through a family move and either offer their home or just take some of the advice we've given today.
Yeah, some of the counsel. And so we're going to share some personal stories because we too have done this. And also some of our client stories, and then just some really good, solid, sound strategies, I think is even the right word here, as to how to make this just an amazing way to not stress out your kids, but rather engage your kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so older kids, little different than younger kids.
Yeah.
Right?
You're meaning older kids by teenagers and adolescents. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not thinking, well, actually, in fact, even if you have 20-somethings or 30-somethings still living at your home, they actually it still affects them as well. So I wasn't really thinking that, and yet as you say it, I'm thinking of certain clients of mine right now that are, in fact, navigating a move with young adults living in the home, and it still impacts them. And so a lot of these tips will apply to them. Some will apply to the younger ones, some to the teens. And so you've got to choose the ones that best suit your particular scenario.
Yeah. And temperament of child changes it as well.
Right. So we'll get into a little bit of that in terms of the temperament of the kids, how you want to do something entirely different, depending on how they see the world, how the world is colored for them. So one of the things that we've experienced and done and watched work very successfully, especially with teens or late adolescents, is doing a pro-con list.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times a move is something that the parents in the home decide is best for the family. And that doesn't mean the kids agree.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there can be a lot of resistance from a teenager.
A lot. And so I know when we were going to make a move quite a few years ago now, when Candace and Ryan were both teenagers, we had decided it was time to make a move. Our move was maybe business strategic because we were selling homes in a given area, and we thought, they're old enough now, it doesn't switch high schools for them, so it's not terribly traumatic, and it gives us an opportunity to be living where our builders are and in the subdivision where we're helping clients buy lots and homes. And so it just seemed kind of logical to Ken and I.
Right.
And we'd been in the same home for 15 years. So the kids had known stability, really, Ryan from the time before he was born, and Candace from the time she was 3. Well, actually 2 when we first moved in. And so really it's all they had ever known. And so the thought of even moving 15 minutes away, we're thinking, are you kidding me? This is a stress? No, this is an opportunity. You can make new friends. You don't even have to change your school. You change your school bus, which was actually traumatic.
Yeah.
For you.
For me, who likes routine and stability and peace, and I'm not a big one to change because it brings instability and unknowing. I was a little resistant.
A little.
Yeah. One thing that helped, though, for me as a teenager is I was really interested in interior design as well as architecture. And so we were building the house, and my dad brought me along, and I got to go to the architect and design my room and have some input. So that really helped me buy in and get excited about the change, although still hesitant and worried about the unknown and the new people and the new subdivision and the new bus.
The new school bus. And so I think sometimes if we, depending on who we are as adults, if we're somebody that navigates the world of change easily, it can be easy to forget that maybe some of our family members don't see it the same way.
Yeah, for sure. And so my little brother, Ryan, he was very, I'd say, happy and content in his room. He had everything the way he wanted it, and the fact he had to leave even the wallpaper on the walls was, pretty hard for him.
It was, and he's a resilient kid. He's the kid that life is always better than life really is because it's the way he sees the world.
That's right.
He sees it through really brilliant rose-colored glasses, and it was an exciting child to raise because everything was better than it really was, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And even with that, when we said the word move, it shook his world.
Yeah, he's very sentimental. It's probably where that came from. Yeah.
And so I can remember the day of the move. After we did do the pro-con list, which we'll share with you real briefly, and yet I can still remember the day sitting in his room. Everything was packed up, I think, except maybe a desk that was still sitting in the room that had to go, one of the big pieces of furniture. And he and I were sitting on the desk. This is one of those things we've done most of his life. We'll lay on top of countertops, or we'll lay on top of floor or bed or dressers, or sit there whenever he wants to have one of those conversations. And that started when he was a little boy, and actually still happens to this day. Kind of funny. Where we'll have these in-depth, real conversations, and they're in the strangest places. And yet when the opportunity strikes, it's time to have the conversation. So we were sitting there on his desk, and he said, I don't want to go. Like, I'm going to lose all of my memories. And I remember just the tears filling his eyes and him being truly distraught in that moment. And for me to be able to take a step back, breathe with him briefly, and just encourage him that those memories were going to go with him. that the pictures of his room, the things that were captured in his mind, the friends that he'd played with there, the dog that he'd hung out with for years in that room, those things were still going to go with him. And in fact, he got to bring the dog with him, so he wasn't even going to leave the dog behind. And I think it helped.
Yeah.
Just to take the time to listen. So listening is actually, I'm going to say, number one.
Yeah.
Right? Regardless of the temperament of your child, and even when it surprises you, because with Ryan, I think it did kind of surprise us because he is such a resilient rose-colored glasses kid. Mm-hmm. When you were distraught, it didn't really surprise us.
No, everybody knew it.
That's right. Candace wears her emotion on her sleeve, and life is sometimes more challenging maybe than it really is.
Yeah, I would say I see the world half empty, especially as a child. And I wasn't self-confident, so having to go on the new bus was intimidating, knowing where to sit, seeing those other kids that were older than me. All those things came into play with just a simple move. Yeah. And yet when I got excited about the move, then I could work through those, and they weren't roadblocks.
They were just stepping stones,
yeah,
instead of stumbling blocks.
That's right.
I think we've heard that somewhere before. This is good. And so part of what we did to navigate that, and I've heard many people do, and in fact, we read a lot of articles and commentaries on moving with kids, just even in preparing for the show. We didn't just want to share our personal experience, the things we've done well and the things maybe we haven't done well, and even the things our clients have done maybe well and not so well. So we actually spent many hours researching other insights. And fascinating, most of the things that came up, in fact, we'd already experienced with our clients. I guess in almost 30 years of helping folks navigate moves and having those real conversations, listening not only to their children, listening to them express what their kids needed and how we could best help them in the process of the move, and then doing it again a few times with our own children and with our grandkids, watching them navigate that, has actually given us a lot of the resources that are out there. So that felt kind of good.
Yeah, yeah. So the pros and cons with older children, would you advise that they come and do pros and cons for every house the couple views?
Oh, no. What we really did in relation to the pro-con list initially was more the pro-con around making a move.
Yeah.
How do we get you engaged and excited about making the move? The parents have the reasons, and while we were busy convincing the kids why they should move, or anytime I've watched a parent engage with the kids and work at convincing, it usually doesn't work well.
Right.
The kids really have to discover the benefit of the move for themselves. Mm-hmm. And what we found is by asking good quality questions, and even great questions at times, allow them to start to picture themselves and visualize themselves in that new place. And so part of that process is, what are the great things about moving to a new house? Right? What are the great things about moving to a new location? Well, the maintenance that we haven't done here, we don't have to do. Maybe that's not exciting to a kid. Maybe it is, though, if they're cutting less lawn at the new place.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're going to cut more lawn at the new place, and they love being on a ride-on lawnmower. An 11 and 12-year-old, that may be a selling feature. So even those things that you don't think are bonuses may be for your kids. And so asking, what things would excite you about a move? And then attempting to incorporate as many of those things into the move that are seemingly doable.
Yeah.
Why not say yes to something that maybe doesn't really matter to you as the parents, and say yes to the kid or the teenager or your group of kids or teenagers if you can. So just being accommodating and really hearing. One of the silly things we did was what for you in our move?
I'm not sure. Which one?
Okay. So in designing her room, one of the things that really did get her excited was the concept of having a say in the floor plan and the design.
Yes.
And there were certain areas that we wanted to decide, like kitchen. We really didn't feel that a teenager would be able to tell me how I need to function in a kitchen, since the only thing she liked to do at that time was escape the kitchen.
Right. You did give me say in the handles for the kitchen cupboards and the
Yes.
bathrooms. I helped model that. I helped pick out tiles, and yet the thing that I got most excited about was my bedroom. And I was a little princess back then, and I really wanted a turret bedroom. And so they actually changed the floor plan of the house, the outside even, to give me that turret. And then I also really love to have my own escape into the basement, not having to use the same area as my parents and my brother, but I wanted my own way to get downstairs from my bedroom. And I thought it would be a perfect idea to put a swirly staircase down in my turret to go to the basement. And my dad gently said, well, I think that will take up your entire turret and you won't really enjoy that. But we may have be able to scratch our head and figure out a way to get you your own entrance into the basement from your bedroom. So I'm sure all of you are wondering, what was that? Well, he asked me if maybe a fireman's pole would be an option. And I was like, absolutely. And then he's like, oh, maybe I put my foot in my mouth. So they figured out how to put a trap door in my walk-in closet and a fire pole down to the basement, which was quite interesting and made me feel absolutely special.
So not that you have to go that over the top. That was probably a little extreme. And yet, because we were building, we could.
Yeah.
And even if you in bathrooms, handles and cabinets and say in flooring and bedrooms, so many times, even if we're buying a resale home, we've talked about new here, and yet even in a resale home, there's often renovations we want to do, there's improvements we want to make. So get the kids to input there if that's something that interests them. If it doesn't interest them, then that won't really help them.
That's right. And most of the time, paint colors for their bedrooms absolutely always interest them and makes them feel like it's home. Even getting a new bedspread or a new pillow or just something to make it feel special in theirs really makes a difference.
It does. And so we're talking about kids and making a move. So far we've been kind of scratching the surface. On the second half, we're going to go a little bit deeper. And yet, if you missed the first half, it really set the stage for what we're going to talk about now. So far, we've really explored a little bit that pro-con list. What are the advantages of making the move to the child? So make it that they create their own pro list. And the goal is to let the pro list outweigh the con list. So ask questions that give you answers that support the move that you know is best for your family, because ultimately you're not going to make a move that doesn't serve your family. Right. So it's really just a way of having the conversation, listening to your kids, and exploring those things so that they can get excited and be on page with you so that they actually help. Yeah. So they get creative in making the move with you and make it easier rather than more arduous. Right. Exactly. And so we talked a little bit about younger kids and older kids. And one of the things when you're actually looking at the homes, now we've talked about selling from that aspect. We'll go back to selling in a minute because there's some strategies you want to employ to get ready to get out for showings. Like once you've convinced, or really we said we weren't going to convince. Once we have set the stage that everybody's excited about the move, now we may have to go look at homes, and we also got to get out of the house for showings. Right. And so looking for homes, a lot of times I've seen folks bring little children to the home. Mm-hmm. How does that work?
Well, I've seen it many times, and it's a distraction, one, to the parents, two, to the kids. They get overwhelmed or pay attention to things that aren't necessarily going to stay with the house or are important. Like they love the toys. They may pick up things that aren't theirs. They will fall in love with the swing set and think this is the house because of a swing set or a trampoline. And so they just can't see everything that an adult or their parent can to help make the decision wise.
Right. So probably what we've encouraged most of our clients to do is it's nice to get the kids excited about the home you choose. Mm-hmm. About the one that you're going to move in, because that reduces their stress. Yes. Right? If they don't know where they're going to be moving, pretty difficult to get them excited about the atmosphere at the new place when they don't know anything about it. And yet having them go through home after home after home, even teenagers,
Yeah.
I have watched be really, I'm going to use the word damaging.
I would say so, and it gets confusing. So even with adults, after 7 homes or more, they're confused. And so now you put a little person in that situation and wondering every time they pull up to a driveway, is this it? Is this my bedroom? They run straight to the bedrooms and they pick out a bedroom, even if this isn't the house.
And they have a fight with their sibling about which bedroom's whose.
Yeah.
Watch that a lot of times.
Yeah.
So really narrowing it down. Sometimes with older kids, it may be wise to bring them to your top 2 or 3 once you've narrowed it down, because there are things as a parent you're feeling that they're all equally as good. If that's the case, then it makes sense to get more external input, and your teenagers would be a great source of that.
Yes.
Little ones, really, under 10, under 12, choose for them. Because you know what you want for your family. You want to do right by your kids anyway. So bringing them to the one will actually decrease their stress level.
Yeah, and help them get very excited about it, right? If they're
so how
just
would you help them get excited?
Depends on which child, but definitely the room picking. Now it's pretty firm, helping them understand the street, maybe showing them parks around the area. If there's schools nearby, showing them how easy it is to get there, libraries, whatever interests them, and just if there's a forest nearby and trails, then you take them to the trails and just really buy in to the area that you've chosen is best for them.
Right. And one of the things I've seen work well, especially with younger kids, even teens, bring them during the building inspection. Mm-hmm. You make the decision because you ultimately know what is right. If it's clear, if it's not, then get the extra input. And if it is clear for you, then bring them to the building inspection. They get 2 or 3 hours at that point to really enjoy the home. And sometimes what I've seen folks do is bring a grandparent or an aunt or a babysitter so that the kids can be there for the first half an hour. The first hour can go to the park for part of it, can go to the local library, can go off to the trails, can spend some time in the backyard where the parents can continue to be measuring and getting to know their home and thinking about layout and where they're going to place things. So really separating those tasks so that when the kids are there, it's really about the kids' engagement with the home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right? And so that's been helpful. Now, that's around the actual process of looking and determining the house and then getting them to get super excited about the home that you've actually chosen. That can be really helpful. Before you do that, sometimes you have to sell.
Yes.
If it's your first house, you can go straight to that part.
Yeah.
Right? Straight from the pro-con list of making a move, because even if you're making a move from a rental accommodation or from overseas or from living within a parent's home for a season at a time with children, even a pro-con list in that case, because they're leaving the familiar, can be really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
Now, if your home is on the market, let's just touch on that briefly.
Yes. If your home's on the market and you have children and their showings, you don't necessarily always get the day notice. It's
Most of the time,
and yet my experience would show when it's a last minute showing, it's usually someone pretty eager, and you want that house to be ready, and you really don't want to say no to any showing if you can absolutely help it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
So you put some strategies in place so you're ready for when you get that phone call, whether it be a last minute or a couple hours. If it's during the day and you're already at work and you left the house a mess, then there's a whole bunch of more added stress when you get that phone call and they're supposed to see it before you get home.
Right. And so having a checklist, so before you leave the house, if there is a showing booked or if you want to leave it ready every day, you simply have a checklist. And each child, if they're of appropriate age, is responsible for certain items on the checklist. You may turn it into a game. A lot of our families have turned them into games, and they get points for certain things that they've accomplished in the house, and then there's a little gift or a prize at the end, or maybe an outing. Already knowing where you're going to go in the case of a showing, family is not at work and at school, than having a library, having a friend's place, having an amusement park, having something that you predetermined will be your go-to for particular showings can be really, really helpful. Having that snack bag ready, and that's on the checklist, and maybe it's sitting already in the car, so it's snacks that are not perishable, ready to go, and just being excited about the adventure, creating something that they have to look forward to. So checklist, strategies, getting it ready, and having the toys already mostly packed away before you ever put the house on the market.
Absolutely.
Because then it becomes like Christmas when you move into the new house anyway. You leave just a few out, so even if there's toys out and you're getting ready for a showing, it's one bin, one box, and away we go. So I'm hoping this has been helpful. And now we want to talk about a couple of great properties that your family may just want to move into.
Yeah, these are fantastic family homes. They're in the area of Manotick and Greeley, around the 750,000 range. The one in Manotick is on a beautiful lot in the village and has an in-ground swimming pool, 4 bedrooms above grade, and a beautiful ensuite and master retreat for the parents, and beautiful, beautiful maple trees this time of year.
Well, they're beautiful all year.
Yeah.
They're just beautiful colors right now.
Beautiful colors right now, for sure. And then the one in Greeley, large home, 5 bedrooms upstairs, nanny suite downstairs possibly, or, a big bedroom with an ensuite off of it.
Teenage retreat?
A teenage retreat with a walkout basement, lovely 2-story, newer build, and a couple acres.
Yeah.
So, in the heart of Greeley, yeah.
So gorgeous couple of options, both family homes, I would think, whether large family or even multi-generational.
Yeah.
In both cases, actually, it could serve quite well with more than one when I say multi-generational, I'm not thinking parents and kids, I'm thinking parents and kids and grandparents.
That's right.
Would work well. So a couple of amazing options. If you're interested in that, I think you know how to reach us, and I'll give you a reminder, 613-860-4663, 860-4663, or DekkerTeam.com. info@DekkerTeam.com would be our email.
Yes.
Or our website is DekkerTeam.com. And if you have other questions that you want answered around making a move with kids or teens or just additional people in your home, because the whole multi-generational move is another conversation as well, reach out to us, send us an email, call us, we'll answer your questions. We love to give you guided wisdom, something that will help you navigate your move with ease.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.